It's a wonderful day. Good morning, everybody. Greetings to all of you from India and who are joining from abroad. I welcome you all. On behalf of KAICIID Indian Fellows Network team, myself, Dr. Swati Chakraborty, I'm very humble and very happy to be part of the KAICIID team. We have our organizer of this particular webinar session, Dr. Professor Baharul Islam from IIM Kashmir, and he will lead the session with the starting formally. Thank you so much, Baharul sir, for your wonderful initiative that you have planned and we actually planned together. Thank you so much, and the session is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me thank all of you who have joined the session today. It's a very important session for all of us who are working in interreligious and interfaith dialogue. We are expecting our keynote speaker, His Excellency, the Governor of Kerala, Sri Arif Muhammad Khan, to join very soon. In the meantime, I would like to introduce the platform and the issue before you. This program is a part of a series of programs we do as fellows of KAICIID Dialogue Centre in Vienna. KAICIID, the full form is King Abdulaziz International Center for Interreligious and Intercultural Dialogue, which is an initiative of the Holy See, the King of Austria, the Kingdom of Spain, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And it was a global alliance partnership to promote interreligious dialogue and prevent hostile conflicts and violent conflicts among various communities across the world. Every year, they select fellows who are from various countries, and they are trained and they are supposed to work for interfaith dialogue in association with KAICIID. And this is one of this program, fellows program, that you are attending today. We welcome Dr. Sumit Narula, who has just joined, Director of Communication Studies at Amity University. And
good morning, sir. Good morning to all.
We are just about to receive Honorable Governor here. Good morning and namaskar, Your Excellency. Welcome to the webinar on sustainable development and interfaith dialogue, organized by KAICIID and WebPlatform4Dialogue and PFI Foundation, Assam. With your kind permission, may we start, sir?
Please.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants in this webinar, I have the pleasure to present before you and introduce who doesn't need any introduction. His Excellency, the Governor of Kerala, Sri Arif Muhammad Khan. Sri Khan was born in Bulandshahr, 1951. He received his graduation degree from Aligarh Muslim University and the law degrees from Lucknow University in Uttar Pradesh. Sri Khan is a student leader. He belongs to the alma mater which I joined, Aligarh University, and he served as a general secretary of our students union in 72-73 and president during 73-74. That introduced him at a very young age. He was elected at the age of 26 to the assembly, the Legislative Assembly of Uttar Pradesh from Siana constituency in Bulandshahr. That started an illustrious career in politics, in intellectual activities and social reform and overall civil society dialogue. Sri Khan's administrative excellence and capabilities are nationally noted, internationally recognized. One of the youngest Union Cabinet Minister, Sri Arif Muhammad Khan, held the portfolios of energy and civil aviation. He was earlier introduced to the Union Cabinet as Deputy Minister for Information and Broadcasting. He holds also the portfolio Minister of State for Agriculture, Energy, Industry, Company Affairs, and also the most important, the Home Affairs portfolio. In the intellectual and academic domain, Shri Arif Muhammad Khan is known for his best-selling, very recognized book, Text and Context, Quran and Contemporary Challenges, which was published by Rupa in 2010, which was one of the top list of the readers for a long time, and it is still recognized as one of the most relevant reference in text and context of Quran and Muslim community across the country. He is a well-known writer, columnist. He has written very widely. And ladies and gentlemen, now Sri Arif Muhammad Khan, who has assumed as 22nd Governor of Kerala on 6 September 2019, has joined us as a keynote speaker of today's webinar. Today's webinar, very briefly, is based on how does peace as a part of sustainable development goal is very necessary across the world. We are discussing interfaith dialogue, interreligious, intercultural dialogue between communities, faith groups, and other cultural communities, so that they can come together, discuss about each other, and promote peaceful coexistence. Your Excellency, we are joined by a number of delegates from India and abroad who are also fellows of KAICIID Dialogue Centre in Vienna and members of the civil society, academia, and various other individual interests who have registered for this webinar. Now, I would request you more humbly to deliver the keynote address.
All the members of your organization who are attending this seminar, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very thankful to Professor Baharul Islam, not only for the invitation, but also for the gracious words that he has spoken about me. But then he was in Aligarh, and possibly, and he was there during my time. So I'm very thankful for whatever he has said. And I would like to compliment the Indian Institute of Management, Kashipur, Web Platform 4, and King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz International Center for Interreligious Dialogue for coming together to organize this event. And incidentally, today is World Human Rights Day. And every sustainable development is part of the topic which you are going to discuss today. And every sustainable development, in fact, is a goal that seeks to promote human rights. Free interreligious dialogue is also a human right in every society. Therefore, I feel it is very appropriate, and I compliment you for choosing this topic for the webinar. But here, I would like to say that any interreligious dialogue can produce positive results only when we try to understand the genius of each religious tradition, because the genius is not the same. The message is the same. There is no doubt. But the backgrounds are different. The essence is different. The genius is different. When we compare the religious traditions all over the world, then we find that most of the religious predictions in their nature are prescriptive, which means that when you belong to that particular tradition or you become part of that tradition, then certain beliefs are absolutely essential for you. And if you deny, though I'm talking of those essential beliefs which are critical to the practice of that religious tradition. If you do not believe, I mean, here again, religion mostly has become, since long time, marker of the identities. But within the same religious group, the personal faith which people have, individuals have, that is not necessarily the same. But most of the religions, since they are of prescriptive nature, therefore, if you stop to believe even one of them, then the tradition, normal practice which is seen is that the tradition, they have a mechanism where they refuse to recognize such people. In fact, we have recent example, by recent I mean last few decades, where even the parliament of a country has passed a law saying that a particular group of people, they no more belong to this particular, in our neighborhood it has happened in the case of the Qadiani, where parliament has taken it upon itself. They will decide about the faith of the person. And they declare them as, I won't use the same terminology which they have used, but they have said that they do not belong to this particular religious denomination. And they have also been subjected to violence and all kind of persecution. They were forced to flee the country. Even today, these things are happening. And unfortunately, the history is such that the civilizations were defined either by race or by language, and in the little later period, they were mostly defined by the religious denomination one belonged to. On the other hand, the Indian tradition is highly reflective. It is not prescriptive at all. The Indian tradition, that possibly is the reason why there is so much diversity. Diversity to the extent that persons belonging to the same family, they worship different gods. Two sisters observing fast on two different days of the week or the month. They have the concept is not only of the omnipresent and omnipowerful God, but the concept of Kul Devta, the concept of the family deity, the concept of the Gram Devta, all these concepts are there. And it goes to the extent where somebody who is born into the tradition, if he or she denies everything anything and everything, even then nobody has the authority to expel the man from the fold. I would say Sanatan tradition, but generally people call it Hindu tradition. Nobody can say that you have ceased to be a Hindu, because the man is saying, I do not believe in any God. Man is saying, I do not believe in Rama or Krishna, or I do not believe in going to the temple. Even then, nobody has the authority to throw out the man from the fold of the tradition. Therefore, first thing we have to be very careful is to understand the genius of each tradition individually. They all should not be clubbed together, and they should not be put on the same pedestal. The prescriptive traditions, and then there is reflective. The reflective tradition is to the extent that the Rig Veda declares, Iyam visrishtiryat abhuv yadiva dadhe yadiva na yo asya adhaksha param. The meaning that who has created this world, this universe, multiverse, the entire, because the concept of multiverse already we find in not one shlok of the Upanishad, in so many shloks we find the concept of multiverse, not just of universe. Isha vasya midam sarvam yat kin jaktiyam jagat. So now the Rig Veda is raising question, who has created this universe? Maybe the one who is sitting up above in the sky, or even that one sitting up above, even that one does not know who has created it and who is regulating it. So now it does not mean that an attempt is being made to deny the supreme truth or the cosmosic reality. Basically, thing is that general people are being asked to reflect about it, to try to find it out. And that is why, since ages past, since remotest times, the thought leaders of India, whom we call rishis, they came to the conclusion that diversity is the law of nature. Everybody cannot perceive, all people cannot be confined to one single interpretation of reality. All people, rather each individual will try to perceive it, and when after perception, if he develops the feelings of devotion, then each one will articulate, will express her or his devotion in a manner which is suited to its genius. I will quote another two lines from the Upanishad, which says, Achintay siya prame yasya nirgun siya sharirina upasaka namo siddhi yartham brahmino roop kalpana. That supreme reality is one. Wahid, Tawheed, if I use the Arabic terms. There is no duality about it. Achintay siya prame yasya nirgun siya sharirina. But that supreme reality is beyond comprehension, beyond expression, beyond the reach of our mental limits. Therefore, the devotees have been given the right or permission to imagine of him as they like, and in the form of that imagination, they can give expression to their devotion. There is a Hadith Qudsi in Islamic tradition. Hadith Qudsi is different from ordinary Hadith. Why? Because these Hadith Qudsi, which are few in numbers, very few in numbers, on which there is no difference of opinion among the Islamic scholars. And that Hadith says, Ana inda zanne abdi bi. I am as my devotee imagines of me. Then then the devotee, as he imagines of me, he will see me in the same form. Even great Sufi saint Ali Hajweri, who is considered among the top Sufis, he says, Al-Majaz Kantaratul Haqiqat. The image is the bridge to reality. Even a poet who is sometimes enthusiastically is described as a poet of Islam, Allama Iqbal, he says, Kabhi ए हकीकत मुंतजर नजर आ लिबास मजाज में कि हजारों सजदे तड़प रहे हैं मेरी जबीने नियाज में. What does that mean? He wants to see the formless God in some form. He is praying that sometime I want to see in some form, so that all those feelings of devotion which lie buried under me, I can give expression to them. Now, if you say the same thing in prose, in Urdu, I am 100% certain that within no time there will be fatwas against you. So we should not try to put all the traditions on the same pedestal. Indian tradition is very different. Why? All other traditions, how you define them? Either by race, or by language, or by religious faith. In India, I have already told you, even if you deny everything, every religious belief, nobody has the authority to throw you out. So how Indian civilization has been defined? The problem was that right from the beginning of the civilization, and this we can understand from the oldest book, that is Rig Veda, proclamation was made. The proclamation was Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. The truth, the supreme reality is one. There is no duality about it. But people who try to know it, or who have come to know of it, they describe it variously. Why? You know, sometimes somebody has written this, and I find it very, very apt and very beautiful expression. This is the scripture, the Quran, the Bible. There is no doubt, they are books, they are divine books. The source is divine. They have come from the divine. But the mind that understands them is human. Therefore, they try to interpret in a manner which is of their liking. And that is why, possibly that is one of the reasons why Indian tradition has not insisted and has accepted the fact that all people should not be confined to one single interpretation of reality. We commit a blunder, in my opinion, in understanding things when we put all the Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai. Oh, the traditions are different. They have to be understood differently. Unless we the Indian tradition, if we will use non-Indian paradigm to understand it, we will reach wrong conclusions. Here in India, the thought leaders, if suppose they had chosen race to define the Indian civilization or Indian beliefs, what would have happened? India, right from beginning, has attracted people from all races, from all over the world. Then what would have happened? People belonging to other races who are part of the Indian society, they would have been excluded. Because race is an exclusive concept. There are so many races in the world. Suppose they had chosen language, even if they had chosen Sanskrit, then all other people who did not know, who did not speak Sanskrit, they all would have been excluded. Likewise, if they had chosen the personal faith, then even the families would have been divided. Because one person goes to the temple of Vishnu, the other person goes to the temple of Shiva. So they would have been excluded. So what ultimately they decided, or what they made because of their tapas, they realized this truth. And they made that truth the basis of the definition. And the basis of the definition, the basis was the ground which was used to define Indian civilization or Indian way of life or Indian religion was Atma. Atma, it is not only that all human beings are included, but Indian thought has seen even plants and animals, has acknowledged that even they have the Atma. Therefore, you can't exclude anybody. If you cannot exclude anybody, then I have seen many a times, I have read it in the books, that Shankaracharya, who hailed from Kerala, he set up 4 mutts in different parts of the country. And he created unity of India. I really feel like laughing at it, because the buildings do not create unity. Howsoever magnificent buildings you make, what created unity was that to these 4 mutts, Shankaracharya given a Mahavakya, and each Mahavakya for each of these mutts came from these 4 Vedas. The significance is 4 mutts, different parts of the country, each one has motto from 4 Vedas. The motto comes from a different Veda, but they all have the same meaning. The meaning is Aham Brahmasmi. In the form of the spirit, in the form of the Atma, it is the divine who dwells in me. Tattvamasi, the same divine dwells in you. I am Atma Brahma. The spirit is Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. The wisdom, knowledge, Vidya, that is Brahma. This does not allow this, the Indian tradition does not allow anybody to sit in judgment about the personal faith of a person. And once we decide that the faith of my, personal faith of my neighbor is none of my business. Even Quran clearly says, Ma khalqukum wala ba'sukum illa ka nafsin wahida. Your creation and your resurrection, when you will be called to account, are nothing but as an individual. Quran again emphasizes, the father shall not come to the rescue of the son, nor son will be able to help the father. The mother cannot help the daughter cannot help. Everything will be decided on the basis of your deed, karma. once we agree to this thing, and when my point is not that non-Indian religious traditions, I am absolutely convinced that as far as the scriptures are concerned, even the non-Indian traditions, whether it is Islam, it is now the Islam is more or less Indian, but I am only talking about originating. We must remember it, that our Christianity is older than the European Christianity. Our Islam, India is any mosque built outside Mecca and Medina. I am not even saying Arab countries. Mecca and Medina, a mosque built outside, was in India, in Kerala, in Thrissur district. The Jews came to us in the first century, in the century when the Temple of Solomon was destroyed. India has always, not that because as human beings we are better than others. No, the way of life of India, the civilizational values of India, it created an awareness that we should be hospitable to those who are being persecuted in their own land. And that is why, this is very interesting. Swami Vivekananda has mentioned about the Jews, about the Christians, about the Zoroastrians who fled from Iran and found shelter in India. But I had written in one of my articles about 14 years back, which was published by, if I remember correctly, by Times of India, that India also became home for the persecuted Sayyids. Sayyids mean the descendants of the family of Holy Prophet. In the Arab world, there are barely 4 or 5 families who claim to be descendants of that family. In India, right from Kerala up to north, in Assam, in Maharashtra, you find localities which are called Sayyadwala or some similar name. Why they are here and why they are not in Arab? Because in the polity, at that time, there was no concept of the state, and the state cannot come into existence without a state exchequer and police force. So admittedly, during the time of Huzur Sallam, there was no police force, there was no state exchequer, but some sort of polity, yes, it was. This polity which was founded by the Holy Prophet, those who assumed the reins of control, they did not allow, they always were fearful of the descendants of the Holy Prophet. They looked at them as political threat. Within 48 years in the field of Karbala, they butchered every male member of Prophet's family. And those who were associated with the family, over a period of time, they all fled from there and they took the route via Iran and Central Asia. They came to India. And they settled in India because, although I have already taken enough time, but it will not be out of context if I mention that about the Sindh Muhammad bin Qasim. The general impression is that he came and he conquered Sindh because some women who were Muslim women who were going from Sri Lanka to by ship. I will conclude in 1 minute's time. Are you hearing me? Are
Yes,
you here?
yes, sir.
The alternative narrative is that Raja Dahir had given asylum to some members of the Prophet of Holy Prophet. And Hajjaj demanded that you return them back. And Dahir said that no, I have given them word of honor. I shall not return them. And he lost his kingdom because of that. So basically my point is that I am convinced there is no dearth of exhortations in the Holy Quran, in the Holy Bible. They do not give us the authority to sit in judgment about the faith of the other person. Once we accept that I am accountable for my actions, I am not accountable for the faith of the other person. Each one does according to the disposition on which God has created her or him. Once we accept that, then it will definitely lead to establishment of peace in our societies, which is so essential to pursue the process of progress and development, what in UN resolution they have described it as sustainable development. Thank you very much. Very kind of you to have invited me. And I'm sorry I have taken more time than I wish to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We are extremely grateful to you. In fact, you have to rush to another event, but you have given us more time than we expected. Actually, we thought you will give me our. This is our honor, and it was extremely, you can say, thought-provoking. All of us will take something home and in our heart what you have said. And perhaps you have made the foundation of sustainable development in interfaith dialogue to a different pedestal, which we Indian fellows of KAICIID in Vienna always try to put forward. An Indian civilization, as you said, genesis of all religions are different, but Indian tradition is most inclusive one where every faith is respected. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All the best. Thank you.
Sir, with your permission, we are going to move our speaker discussions. And our first speaker is our very own Professor Dr. Sumit Narula ji. And Dr. Sumit Narula is a PhD in Electronic Media and Conflict Resolution from Punjab University, Chandigarh. He is presently working as a Deputy Dean Research, Publication and Research at Amit University, Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh. He is also the Director Head of the institution in Amity School of Communication in Amity University, Madhya Pradesh. He has got 2 masters and 2 postgraduate diploma in his own credit. He has published 2 books in mass communication, journalism, edited 7 books. One of his books, Environmental Awareness and Role of Social Media with IGA Publication, has recently indexed by Private Book Citation Analysis Web of Science. He has tremendous, extraordinary excellences in the field of peace studies and conflict resolution itself. He is actually one of the greatest pioneers in the field of ethics and plagiarisms and to detection of the fake news and disinformation at AUMP. He has been spoken into the several workshops on the topic how to catch fake, predatory and clone journals in academics and has developed a course with Taylor University, Malaysia on it particularly. We are very happy to have you, sir, with us for this wonderful opportunity in the international webinar of Sustainable Developmental Goals and IRD. Now the floor is yours, sir. So you will introduce the subject and how it is relevant for our next generation also. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot for this opportunity. I'm very excited. Listening to the governor is always a treat, and sir has rightly set the motion for us to discuss that the international interrelation dialogue is very, very important. We do it. We do this exercise here in our university with our students. And thank you, Behrul. Sir, I met you in Nepal. We were together for a training of 10 days by Asian Action Institution in 2019 in, I think, February or March. And then the pandemic came and we were in touch through WhatsApp, but I couldn't meet him for so long. So, sir, nice to see you. I still remember the hot teas and the discussions done together in Nepal and Dhuli Khel. And it's always a pleasure, sir, for sitting and sharing the forum with you. So I will be speaking. Yes, sir. You want to say something?
No, you're welcome, Sumit. Nice to see you here.
Thank you. So I am into the peace building and I'm a peace researcher. And while I was researching fake news and disinformation, because we have a center and I'm a Google certified trainer in fake news detection, fake news leads to distortion and conflict. So this is the main reason that most of the conflicts, these are coming up because of the fake news. And there is disinformation. A lot of disinformation is also there. If it is removed, then most of the conflicts will be out. So most of the times they give you fake news of any of the religion doing a bad job to other religion, and then the religions fight with each other. But at the end of the day, after around 4 or 5 days, we come to know that this hasn't happened. Why? Because it's a fake news. It was a disinformation. Well, I do my PhD in 2011 when I completed my PhD. The conclusion I provided that during the riots, what should be the media's role? So we decided that media should say that it is a, it is a right between citizen versus citizen. We will not go for Hindu, we will not go for Muslim, we will not go for any other religion. We will type Hindu versus not Hindu versus, we will type citizen versus citizen. So because both are the citizens of India, why to give them a religion? Or why to give them a caste or a color? So citizens of India are fighting with each other and they can fight. Sometimes these fights can happen. So from there we started and now we have reached to this level that now fake news has to be stopped and we have to go to this level that there should not be any miscommunication amongst them. So I have certain points which I have noted down while I was listening to sir, a very, very interesting point which I came out. So the first point is that conflict is an inherent part of human civilization. So if we think that there will be no conflict, that means there is no society. So conflict will be there in this society, but how we manages it and what we tell us and how this inter-religion dialogues can help us will build upon the society. Now we all are sitting together, all are from different religion, different caste, color, and creeds, but we are listening to each other and we are sitting together peacefully. These peace can be given to everybody and there can be coexistence. And that coexistence can only be done when there are dialogues. We need to understand the dialogue theory here also, that what does it speak about. The dialogue theory speaks that everywhere there should be specific dialogue about that specific religion also, if it is important. We need to understand that what are the promises and qualities given in that religion, what are the promises and qualities given in our religion, and how we can coexist. We have the highest Muslim population in the country and we are living coexistently peacefully. Yes, there is fake news, there is misinformation, political parties are doing their own certain things. We should not listen to them. We should not go into that. We should believe in coexistence and IRD. So the second point would be violent conflicts can be prevented. How we can prevent them? By giving them the best knowledge provided. So there is a United States Institution of Peace. I will be sharing that toolkit with the web platform for dialogue. So there is a toolkit which they have developed for the students of middle school as well as the students of high school. So we need to start peace education as a subject. I used to say it's been 10 years I'm saying this, but I don't have the level to reach to the government, so that the subject peace education should be told to the students from the class 6th, the formation age. So the syllabus and the subject is ready. If somebody is there who can speak to the government and can give this advice to the government or a suggestion to the government that we should give this subject, which have a subset of IRD, which will be having a subset of IRD, yeah, the peace building. The peace building subject will be teaching or will be taught to the student from the class 6 and at up to class 2. There should be a degree. Then we must have a degree. We must have a degree, a graduation degree, and then a master's degree on peace building and conflict resolution. These degrees will help us for the development of the nation and for the development of the students, because they're lacking this. They're lacking these life skills. These are very, very important life skills. If you are in a job, you lost that job, you certainly go that let's go and do something bad with the company, or let's do suicide and all. No, no, no. Life skills and peace building will give you the kind of composer you are looking for. And while reading the peace building stories and the peace building theories, it is very, very relaxing. It's like you are meditating, because peace is very, very important. And once we have these courses for your students from the school, and then up to the level of the universities and up to the level of PhDs, there should be more and more PhDs also into peace building. There are very less. I know around 5 to 7 people who speaks about peace buildings in this country, and then the PhDs are also very less. They want to do PhD in computer science, they want to PhD in management and other media issues, but I am looking for somebody to have some research going on peace building in India. Because as and when I type peace building, only foreign research and foreign lectures come out, right? So how we can prevent is through the peace building. Next is, so how you can be a peace builder. There are many ways through which you can be a peace builder. I write down the points. First point, knowledge. You must have that knowledge to understand that if a conflict is going on, what is the problem in that conflict. If you're not prepared, if you're not ready, do not go for peace building. So peace building is an art where knowledge is very, very important, and it plays a very, very important part. Second is eye for the detail. So you must know the what is the problem, where is the problem, and how you can solve it as a peace builder. So peace builder is not a what do you say is a designation that you will get, but at the end of the day, it's a kind of role that you play as a teacher and as an educator and as an interreligious dialogue maker. The dialogues can only start when there is a mind, there is a state of mind where peace is there, and you think that peace can be achieved. If you're going with the if you're going with a mind where you think that there will be no peace or peace तो होना ही नहीं है, हमें लगता है कि इससे कुछ नहीं होगा, then there will be no answer to it. You need to sit together, understand each other's problem, and trying to solve it as much as you can to become a relevant peace builder. Then, Behrul sir, we have done an activity there. Yes, in that activity we have the role played. In those role plays, somebody has to take the role of sitting and mediating them. So the institution of role playing. So you must tell your students to have that role play in them. So if they have the role play, they will understand the problems. Because if you tell them to make a slide, they will make a slide in your education class, and then you will explain that slide. But everywhere slides are not important. Most of these exercises of peace building and IRD are through role plays. So student has to play the role, and then there are discussions, and then from discussions the brainstorm sessions will come out, and then the knowledge will come out, and then that knowledge can be utilized amongst the student going for IRD. The next point which I was thinking is that sports also plays a very, very important role in IRD. We see the matches, as and when there are India and Pakistan match, the tickets goes very high because it is a kind of thing that it's a passion. So sorry. So here the passion is very, very important for us, and sports plays an important role in that. And why is sports being used in peace building? Is there is a lot of research that football is also being used as a peace building thing, and other sports are also being used as a peace building thing there. And the next one is engagement of all. I'm marking this point here in my diary, a big point, engagement of all. What do you understand by that? Engaging. Just call back kar raha hu, I'm in another lecture. I just call you back. Yeah, sorry. So engagement for all means that everybody has to be engaged. You just cannot say that his ideas does not match us. We just have to leave him. No, we have to engage all. Otherwise, there will be no, there will be, what do you say, no answers to the problem. In our department, in our society, in our area where I speak for these things, I always go for the engagement of all. That I need to speak to all, and I have the mechanism where I ask them to write on the chit that what is your findings and how do you feel it, and then we decide that this is a point, and everybody has to engage. Every student have to answer the query. So like I tell them in my class, I'm a media director, so we do the content analysis of the serials, and we do the content analysis of the speeches of various leaders also for research publication, and we find and we try to see, do they use word peace in any of the speeches, and it is not there. So if you do the content analysis of almost all the leaders of all the parties, the speeches are there online. So the word peace is not there. So why it is not being used massively by them? Because we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the information. Our society is not ready to understand peace as a subject. We are not using it for the development of the nation. We think that it will come whenever it has to come, but not. It's not like that. We have to discuss it. We have to tell this to our students. We have to tell this to our society. We have to tell this to everybody that peace can be achieved. Peace can be achieved through dialogue, and peace can also be achieved through the researches and through the speeches of the higher authorities. As our honorable governor has recently said that peace is very, very important. And yes, we are meeting today on words. human rights, and human right also depends upon peace. And the last is that what kind of role we have to play. Media is also playing a constructive role, but yes, IRD is lacking in them. So IRD as a subject has to be developed. But for that, if we develop peace as a subject, IRD can be a subset of that subject. So it would be very, very important for us from now onwards to develop peace building or conflict resolution or IRD as a subject from the to the students for the school. And once they've started reading, once there will be question, once there will be inquisitiveness, there will be more research and more things will be done. We need to have more centers on peace building. I was trying to start some in one in my university. I have given a proposal. We have a Gandhi chair also here. So that center, sir, Behrul sir has more empowerment and more power with his institution is very senior. Sir, let's have one center of peace building together where we can work together and we can see that how we can have more research in that area where can be more discussion. We need more visibility. This platform and this work and this area needs more visibility so that the government also understand, because in NEP also in 2020 there is not much of the discussion on peace building and peace research. It's a bit of missing there, and if we go for peace, IRD and the other related subjects can also be imbibed as a subset. So from that point of view also, if there is something every week we are doing in the same area and people are watching us, they're listening to us, and with how somehow the strength will also increase, and there will be more and more people joining us, joining hands together, and from different religions, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, everybody has to work together. There is no caste, color, creed, and difference. Whenever I reach to my students or my faculty or my people, I always go with everybody. There is no uh, iota of doubt that we have to peacefully coexist, and this is the need of the hour. And I think we are ready. We need to tell this to our kids as well as to our students that this is a possibility, and India is a great country, and it is a possibility in India. Thank you, everybody.
So it's always nice to have you in between us, and you are always enlighten us. So we are almost at the end of your discussions. But if anybody would like to have some questions, they can ask
Yeah.
you directly, either in the chat box, because we are only option to have the support in chat. So if you have any questions, you can write in the chat, or at the end of the discussions, we can come back to you. Uh, Everybody is wishing you, so everybody is wishing you that it's wonderful discussions. So
I just
we
want
don't have,
to add to
yeah,
what
yes,
Sumit,
yes, yes, Parul sir.
yeah, Dr. Sumit has raised a very good point, and basically working in the tertiary sector, in the higher education sector, it is equally important to place this. But what we found that is what Sumit has highlighted, that if the foundations are not made, it is very difficult to posit interfaith dialogue at a higher education level. But one thing I just want to share very quickly before our next speaker, who is already here. Welcome, Madam Zon. And we are eager to listen from Madam Zon, who is joining us from all the way from Indonesia. I just wanted to say that this initiative, sometime within even higher education sector, when I started to do this interfaith dialogue or training in IIM Kashipur, most of my business school colleague were like wondering why it should be here. But you can imagine that this program we had just before this COVID in March 2019, it was so successful. Once it started rolling, some of my faculty colleagues who are basically finance, accountancy, and operations professors, they took more than one session because the participant wanted them to take another session. And
They were enjoying.
yeah, one session we did, one day we took them out of IIM campus, our classroom, and we sat in the local Gurudwara. That was the most wonderful thing, because most of the participants who are basically from madrasa teachers, madrasa background, they were first time introduced or exposed to such a close quarter where they can listen to Gyaniji. And you will be surprised to know that they wanted Gyaniji back in the campus to take a discuss session. So we invited Gyaniji back in IIM Kashipur campus, and he took it. Way back in 2008, when we started talking about introducing interfaith dialogue in madrasa sector where I work, we were not very, very ready. People were having, in fact, the friend, it was sponsored by American Embassy, United States Embassy here. And my friend who came from the embassy and myself also, we were sitting in the back in the beginning, because if there is something, people start saying that this is an American intervention to spoil our religion or something like that. So we were apprehensive and we sat in the corner of the hall and uh, trying to say that it starts peacefully and goes peacefully. It was a wonderful experience. Everybody wanted that. We continued that in 2011 with the British High Commission sponsoring the program. And now we have 71 madrasa teachers who are in the network of Interfaith Dialogue, who will introduce it to their madrasa teaching. And 2016, as a part of KAICIID Fellowship Program, I introduced, Anukul Thakur Ashram is one very group, religious, Hindu religious group, in very much prominent in Assam. We invited the teachers from, not only from the church and also from Anukul Thakur Ashram, and those brothers, we call them Guru Bhai. The Guru Bhais came to our madrasa, sat with the madrasa students, conducted the program, and imagine the madrasa wanted them every month, which is not possible, obviously, but intermittently. So once we start the ball rolling, don't fear that there will be some repercussion. People really like to know about others' religion. The opportunity is not given. Unfortunately, we were introduced to Hinduism, Jainism, any other. We used to have those syllabuses in our school days in 80s. We used to have Charitra part. The book was like character reading or character lessons. And there we used to have those beautiful things from Guru Nanak, from other religion. Unfortunately, my kids are not having exposure to that. I don't know where that missed. Somewhere reinventing the syllabuses, we missed some of the important part. And now I don't know when my kid will be introduced to Jainism, when he will know the basic tenets of Hinduism, when he will know the basic, he will be knowing it from WhatsApp. And then, as Sumit was saying, that's a wrong university to learn this. And that's why what Professor Sumit has said is very important. Obviously, we'll be joining hand together, and we'll try to see something coming up together. There's a very good proposal. Perhaps we can get it through the KAICIID also. As far as my university is concerned, my Indian Institute of Management is concerned, we have already taken that lead. No other IIM or IIT was taking Prime Minister Modi's appeal that the students of madrasas must have Quran on one hand and computer on another hand. It is only we at IIM Kashipur, we took that lead and we conducted a program, and now we are trying to replicate it. So the ball has started rolling. I'll not take much of your time. Thank you, Dr. Samit, for this wonderful introduction and a kind of open invitation to everybody to join this program and do as much as we can in our own sphere. So, Dr. Swati, perhaps this is time we invite Dr. John Vanel to join the discussion.
Thank you so much, Baharud sir. I welcome our second speaker of the day. And in this wonderful session, we learned so many things, starting with Arif Muhammad Khan sir, His Excellency, and he has pointed out very greatly the foundation of IoT into the Indian scenario. Now, countering with the Indian scenario, we are going to take a little bit baby steps to our very own neighbor, Indonesia. Zon Vanel. Zon Vanel is very close to me. She is like a sister from KAICIID. She is lecturer in the Department of Applied Technology, Satyavasana Christian University in the Central Java, Indonesia. I welcome Zon for the session. Now the floor is yours. Zon, I think you have your presentation, so you can present from your end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. Hello, everyone. It is nice to meet you all. And it is an honor that I could present my experience about interreligious and intercultural dialogues in Indonesia, especially in my hometown, to these sessions. But before that, I would like to asking permissions for the share screen. So while waiting, Swati, for the sharing,
You can continue. Yeah.
yes. Uh, in here, I would like to share my experience about how we promote diversity using IRD. So, what before mentioned by Dr. Samit is actually applied in here. That actually we need uh, a subject that it attached with our curriculum as part of the educations. In Indonesia, this is not part of the educations also. So we try to uh, teach IRD in informal ways. Uh, could you make it full screen, Swati?
Yeah, I have done it.
Okay. So as you can see, this is the Indonesian map. Indonesian is consists of big five big islands. We are an archipelago. As you can see, there's Sumatras Islands, Java Islands, Borneo or Kalimantan Island, and then Celebes Islands and West Papua Islands. And even if we are consist with five big islands, actually Indonesia is composed of about 15,500 islands, of which more than 7,000 are uninhabited. And in each of that islands, we have many different ethnic groups, and there are about 1,300 recognized ethnic groups in Indonesia. Next, please. Swati. Next, please. Thank you. So, this is the city where my hometown is. As you can see that Indonesia have a deep root with with India. And as you can see, the first pictures is an old palace before we call it as Mataram Kingdom. The old Mataram is actually a Hindu kingdom, and then during the Islam expansion in 16th and 17th centuries, and then it switched into the Muslim kingdom. And on the right up, there is a huge building that building was built during the Dutch occupations in Indonesia. So when we are influenced by the Indian, our ancient is in Hindus and Buddhist religions. And then the Islam expansion came in, and then there where the Islam came into Indonesia. And then when the Dutch occupations come into Indonesia, that is when Catholic and also the Christian came into Indonesia. And at the city, we can see that there is a picture, a huge picture there, Arjun from the Mahabharata epic story, holding the bow. Yes, holding the bow. It is said that even we are Muslim majority in Indonesia, but we still have this deep root of the Hindus and Buddhist culture. And next, please. During this time, from the establishment of the city, there are many conflicts. Next, please.
I've done it.
Okay.
I have done it. Let's see
Uh,
the chart. Yeah, the table of the
huh.
conflicts. Yeah, I have done it. I don't know.
Okay.
Now it's coming.
Yeah. Okay. As you can see that since the city established, we have conflicts, whether communal conflicts, religious conflict, ethnicity conflicts, and many more. And in recent years, uh, during the fall down of Suharto in 1998, we have what we call as Madness and riot on May, and on December we have Madness also to the police, and then we have Grey Wet Day on 1999, and also during the 2002 until 2016, we have a conflicts between the Islamist hardliner groups and the Turks conflicts. And until today, we are still struggling because in the city, when we are mapping the conflicts, there's two issues, which is ideological conflicts and also social conflicts. Next. So, as a citizens of Solo City, we we try to make a movement. This movement was from various religious groups, community leaders, and even intercultural groups in Surakarta or in Solo City, who is willingly to serve themselves to build Solo as a city of peace. Next. We have four missions in here, which is reduce, support, strengthen, and empower. The first is to reduce the political, economical, cultural, and religious conflicts, but mostly actually not religious conflict, mostly is political, economical, cultural, but always being dragged into the religious tensions. And we also have mission to support the development of peace and plurality spirit in town, and we try to strengthen the capacity of the human resources and the peace building, and we have missions to empower the community to manage the conflict fairly and usefully. Next, to make these missions happen, we have a foundations that is from Johann Galton's conflicts informations, and you can see in here the first thing that happen is contradictions that already happen when the city is established, and then from these contradictions and then move to the attitude where people have perceptions and misperceptions about others that have different ethnicity, different color, and then different religions, and etc. And from this attitude and then move to the behavior or the psychomotor, whereas cooperations and coercions usually happen. That is what we call as the conflict triangles. So this is usually called as conflict transformation. So to transform it, we start from the behavior. We change we change the behavior into a positive way to make a positive attitude to end the contradictions. That is conflict transformation. Next. So based on that, Joan Galton conflict transformations models, our focus is on an open attitude that always prioritizes dialogues and mutual understanding of cultural and religious diversity. Next. Since we know the focus, so we try to identify the problem so we can have a solutions. The problem is here is very clear. It is about ethnicity, race, religions, political conflicts, and concrete evidence that the understanding of diversity has not been touched at the grassroots levels. So there is a stress line in here, which is the grassroots levels. The roots of the conflicts is actually in the local economics and political problem, but the field of the conflicts and then expand and by exploiting the culture and religions that mostly happen not only in my city or usually happen in most Indonesian during the election times, and yeah, usually happen like that. So the solution is just like what Dr. Samit before mentioned. We need IRD in our educations. So we try to put the multicultural education aspects such as an open, inclusive attitude, prioritizing the dialogue and then mutual understanding of ideological differences, the value of diverse society. Usually, it is recognized in this kind of education that not most of the educations in Indonesia use this kind of approach. Indonesia is a multicultural country, but multicultural itself not only part of the richness of Indonesia, but if we not manage it well, it will create frictions, it will create conflicts. So what we do next is, next slide please. We try to use what we call as interreligious and intercultural dialogue to promote diversity, because we cannot deny that we live in this multicultural system, so we have to promote the diversity. As you can see in here, the religion statistic in Indonesia, which mostly consists of Islam and then 8% of Christian and then Catholic, Hindu, Buddha, Konghucu, and local beliefs. Even actually, we have the Baha'is, we have also the Ahmadiyya, we also have the Jewish, really, really small part of in Indonesia. Everything is there. But the problem is sometimes the majority think that those sects, especially the small sects, is is not have the same perceptions as them. So it is okay to persecute them. Yeah, that that's mostly happen usually in a country where the majority and minority and then the next. So in here, my focus in is on children's, because children is part of the SDGs 16, which is seeks to strengthen an inclusive and peaceful society and everything, children and women. So we try to reduce all forms of violence against women and children by increasing the roles of women in decision making and etc. Next, please. So, since children become our focus, we have to target. The direct target is children, because we hope that they will be agent of peace and social change, agents for the next generations. And our indirect target is mother. Why? Because mother is the first teachers in the family that could share the positive knowledge in their family and neighborhood. Next. So we have a program that we usually call as Children Site Visit Program. We make this program in the hope that children will meet others from different backgrounds. Children will have a dialogue in safe and fun space with others, and children will have their own network in creating safe space and peace building. Next. So I show you the experience during the site visits. This is the visits at the Greek mosques in my hometown, and these children come from a different background, whether it is religious and ethnicity background. Next, please. And this is when children visiting the Hindu temple. As you can see in Indonesia, the Hindus is always there's a symbol just like this umbrella. Usually there's three parts of umbrella or five parts of umbrella. There are three steps of that, and then you can see at the right where the children having a solat asar, but in Hindu's temple, because that is their time to take the solat because at about 3 p.m. at that time, and they having the solat at the Hindu temple. For us, as as part of the religions or as part of peace building activists, this kind of thing is a good thing. But for certain groups, especially they are like making noise about these differences, these pictures will create a new conflicts. But what I will show you in here that the children is happily to to taking the azar, solar azar in Hindu temple. They have no problem with that because they know that it's their time to solat. So it doesn't matter about where the place is. Next, please. So this is when the children visiting the Konhuchu temples. As you can see, there are many idols in here. The Konhuchu's idols, and the children is very exciting, and even they are asking many questions in here. Usually, when they are visiting new places, children will raise their questions about many things. Like when at the Hindu temple, they are questioning about whether the what kind of idol is that, why there are many hands of the gods and everything. And also in these Confucian temples, I think that is the beautiful part, the beautiful part to know each other so they can learn that actually they have the common sense of the common understanding or the common perceptions that usually people divide it into labeling, stereotyping, and marginalize others. Next, please. And the next is when the children visiting Catholic Church. Usually they will ask why at the church there used to be that there's always a cross, a big cross, and then because it is Catholic Church, and you can see many idols or statues of saints. They have many questions about that, whether about the dogma and everything. But the more they know, the more they respect others. Next, please. This is where they're visiting the Buddhist temple. The question is, do the Buddhists worshipping uh, a big status? They don't have God, but worshipping a big status, the Buddha status. The, the question is very critical in that age because usually in monotheism, yes, it is different concepts. The worshipping actually isn't about the status. That is just a symbol, just like the symbols of a cross and everything. So in here, children need to be educated about the symbolic interactionisms, so they have more respect in others. Next. So after the visit, we make a survey, and the result is really amazing. Mostly, they are putting 4.5 in their survey because they think that they got new friends from different background, they got new knowledge of diversity, they got new network. Even children after that have their own WhatsApp groups, and then they will having fun during the visit. Even children demanding that this kind of visits should be held annually. Yes, that is the experience that I have how to manage conflicts, especially conflicts that already root a lot, and we have to very selective in choosing our target, so the program will be implemented well. Okay, thank you, Dr. Swati. You can stop share now.
Thank you so much, Zon, for this wonderful, enlightened research work at the very grassroots level and with the children particularly, who is our future, next generation, to understand differently about society, very differently about what we called actual inclusive society. And that is the target of SDG, to integrate, to have a wonderful society for the next generation. Congratulations for this wonderful research work that you have done. And as a KAICIID fellow, I think you must feel uh, very different from other educators to some extent.
True, yes.
I think that's your personal experience altogether. Even for me also, it's totally different from other perspective, what other people think about religion and what KAICIID fellows are thinking about IRD and ICD. Thank you so much. Baharul sir, please give your input, and if anybody here would like to ask something, they can share their views in the chat box.
Uh, uh, yes, thank you, Dr. Zanbhal Vanel, for your wonderful and quite elaborative one,
You're
particularly
welcome,
for those
sir.
who are, yeah, particularly those who are not from, IIT background. They would like to see, and perhaps that was something we thought that may be very useful. And thank you for introducing us to the basic tenets, and practically coming from the field activist, it is always very encouraging for others to follow the example. Thank you very much for your interaction. I really enjoyed it, and perhaps uh, we'd request you to give us a write-up also if possible. Then perhaps we can include it in our forthcoming publication, the book which we are going to publish in IRD. I'll request you if you can do that for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We have a, observation as well as a very integrated question from Dean Mohammed. If you can just read on in the chat box.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, is it really possible only focus on children alone? Actually, in my program that I just presented is children as the direct target, but actually mothers is the indirect. Why mothers? Actually, during those visits, I also invite their mothers because they are too small. They are around 7 until 12. So usually mother will come along with them. When we are educate the children, the mother is always beside the children. They are listening. And we also have a different approach with their mothers. So after they go back, the mother could spread these positive ambience to their families, to their neighborhoods. So actually, we have one problem for the children, but the mother is the extent of it, because as I said before, mother is the first educator in the family. Some people not see it, that the role of mother taking a very serious part in educations. You can talk, you can walk is part of mother's work. That is how we try to convey the message of the IRD, that indirect target is the children, but the mother is always there. So that is the indirect target.
Thank you so much, Zon, for this answer, particularly. And you are very correct that mother, they are the first teacher of any children, and they are the first educator. Thank you so much for this wonderful lecture. Uh, let's have welcome our Last but not the least, Alan Bruxer. He is a social activist passionately engaged in conflict resolution, disaster management, and peace building in the Northeast for the past 4 decades and still counting. He was one of the founding members of the Joint Peace Mission team of NEI that facilitated dialogue, peace initiatives, and community-to-community interactions across the Northeast and Assam in particular. And it was invited by government of Assam and appointed to the Assam Minorities Development Board and Assam Minority Financial Development Corporations as a member and board of director for 3 terms. In 2009 was invited and appointed as member of Assam State Commission for Minorities, Government of Assam, an office held for 3 terms consecutively. Presently involved with the ecumenical and interfaith movement in NEI, building bridges across faiths and communities. I welcome you, Alan, sir, for this session. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation for this occasion in the International Webinar of Sustainable Development and IRD. Thank you so much, sir. Please, the session is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Swati, for introducing me. And thank you for Professor Baharu for inviting me to address this August gathering. I come from the Northeast, based in Guwahati, and the Northeast is in the news for many things. And at the moment, we are on a boil in Nagaland, following the unfortunate incident which has taken place. Things are not well, but then today my topic given to me was on a different topic. Maybe that I can come back to that later. So coming to my topic, what are the perspectives of interreligious dialogue in Christianity? In my readings and study on interreligious initiatives of the past, I have come across historical records and examples of interfaith initiatives throughout the ages, with varying levels of success in establishing one of the 3 types of dialogue to enkindle either understanding, teamwork, or tolerance. That is referred to as the dialogue of the head, the dialogue of the hands, and the dialogue of the heart. In the dialogue of the head, we mentally reach out to the other to learn from those who think differently from us. In the dialogue of the hands, we all work together to make the world a better place in which we must all live together. In the dialogue of the heart, we share the experience of emotions of those different from us. In recent times, the term interreligious over interfaith is being more commonly used jointly by the Vatican and the World Council of Churches to describe bilateral and multilateral dialogues and engagement with other religions. The term interreligious is preferred because it refers to explicit dialogue with those professing religions who identify themselves explicitly with a religious tradition and whose work has a specific religious affiliation and is based on religious foundation. Throughout the world, interactions on interreligious, like the one we are engaging in at right now, take place at different levels: local, regional, national, and international. Many are formally or informally linked and constitute more extensive networks of federation. It is often quoted what noted theologian Hans Kwang once said, "There will be no peace among the nations without peace among the religions. There will be no peace among the religions without dialogue among the religions." Therefore, interreligious dialogue plays a significant role in studying and understanding religion and promoting peace. Coming to interreligious dialogue, from the Christian perspective, many illustrations from the Bible cite Jesus' prophetic stand and all-embracing mission, his interaction with the Syrophoenician woman in Mark and Matthew, and the Samaritan woman in John. Both are nameless and faceless women, but critically and creative dialogue partners of Jesus. The parable of the Good Samaritan in Luke and the praise of the Roman officer's faith in Matthew are other striking examples of Jesus' openness to non-Jewish people. He proclaimed the good news of liberation, salvation to all, irrespective of social and religious status. Poor and rich, women and men, sinners and saints, Jews and Gentiles, all felt at home with Jesus, the compassionate Guru. As such, the idea of interreligious dialogue is hardly new to Christianity. We are all aware of the Second Vatican Council and the establishment of the Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue initiated by Pope Paul VI in 1964, marking a significant turning point in understanding evangelization. The Vatican II document on declaration of the relationship of the Church in non-Christian religions, Nostra Aetate, clarifies the Church's position. It reads, "The Catholic Church rejects nothing which is true and holy in these religions. She looks with sincere respect upon these ways of conduct and of life. These rules and teachings, which though differing in many particulars, form what she holds and sets forth, nevertheless often reflect a ray of the truth which enlighten all people." Further, the World Council of Churches, since its establishment in 1971, promotes dialogue as the common adventure of churches, to be undertaken in a spirit of honesty, hospitality, and hope as we pursue what makes for peace and for mutual upbuilding. In a multi-religious world, meaningful dialogue involves translating committed and creative theologian reflection into courageous and compassionate action. WCC also believes that embracing dialogue as a concrete way of living out the gospel's call to love God and our neighbor of other faiths is to develop interreligious solidarities that can promote justice, peace, and the well-being of the entire creation. This understanding and belief comes from Jesus' greatest commandment, that is, love your neighbor as yourself. Therefore, religious pluralism is a fact of history and should not be an obstacle to harmonious living and interfaith partnership. One can discover expression of pluralism in biblical texts describing religion as a divine human relation. Indian Jesuit priest and theologian Michael Amaldas brings to the fore the need for learning from other religions' writings. As such, each religion, while believing in its specificity and uniqueness, can and does accept the legitimacy of other religions as facilitating divine human encounters, and thus will explain this in accordance with its own faith vision. Coming to the second part, why should interreligious dialogue be a part of quality education? Confucius, way back in 500 BC, said, education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. Hope breeds peace. Yes, education has been acknowledged as one of the most powerful tools we can implement in our global efforts to promote world peace and development. However, with the world today witnessing large-scale violence, conflict, health hazards, unfortunately, children and the education system are at the receiving end of these violence, conflicts, and hazards. We are all very aware of the fact that education system has taken a back step in this last 2 years of COVID, and how our children, especially, I emphasize here, in the rural sector, it is in a very, very pathetic condition. The sharp rise in violence, extremism, and radicalization, influenced by forces that lead to unpredictable outcomes, such as rising inequality within nations, represents a significant threat to all of us. Members of radical groups adopt increasingly extreme political, economic, social, culture, and religious ideologies and use undemocratic and violent means to achieve their objectivities. India too faces the challenges of objective addressing deeply rooted structural causes of conflict emanating from historical injustice, marginalization, polarization, corruption, etc. Given this scenario, in a pluralistic and diverse environment, quality education definitely plays an important role as it imparts knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes that are important for the social, economical, and political development of any country and society. This role is well articulated in the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which seeks to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education for all and promote lifelong learning. At the same time, Sustainable Development Goal 16 aims to promote just, peaceful, and inclusive societies. The current global indicator for target 4.7 is 4.7.1, extent to which global citizenship, education, and education for sustainable development, including gender equality and human rights, are measurements at all levels in national education policies, curricula, teacher education, and student assessment. However, while quality education is central to peace building and development, it is essential to note that it has two facets. There is evidence to the view that when inclusive, equitable availability of good quality, relevant, and conflict-sensitive education is provided and encouraged, it can help promote peace and provide safe environment for growth. On the other hand, it can exacerbate conflict when its delivery is characterized by exclusion and inequality. For this reason, deliberate effort needs to be made to put in place necessary policies and strategies to maximize the positive effects of education on peace, including the component of interreligious dialogue. In my conclusion, I say the involvement of education institution is widely recognized to be essential in many education plans. These plans aim to prevent the rejection of cultural and religious minorities by averting prejudices and xenophobia behaviors and minimizing cultural and religious segregations in school. Further, with more and more radicalized messages bombarding young people, especially in social media, we need to develop critical competencies to make them aware of themselves and equip them with tools that will help them question certain discourses that the logic through the logic of counter arguments. Currently, we are a multicultural and multi-religious society and need a new interreligious awareness and the unfolding of a dimension inherent to all human beings. Interfaith dialogue provides the glue that will nourish and keep our societies together. As we navigate our diversity, we must learn not to drown or suffocate each other, but instead to swim alongside each other. Interfaith work allows us to deepen our own faith by learning about other faiths. We must not forget that the harming of one faith may harm all faiths and distract us from the path leading to God. We may find it beneficial sometimes to read, listen, and interpret things through the lenses of others in order to enhance our sensitivity, compassion, and most importantly, our relationship with God. Regardless of our differences, we must find ways to coexist with others. No religion can exist in isolation by blatantly ignoring others in, in our overchanging world. We have an obligation to engage in constructive conversation, to teach our children and grandchildren how to build bridges and not walls. We need to create an environment for them so that they can be proud of their own religious tenets while also learning from those of other faiths. Dialogue, and I conclude in the words of Pope Francis, dialogue is born from an attitude of respect for the other person, for a conviction that the other person has something good to say. It assumes that there is room in the heart for the person's point of view, opinion, and proposal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan sir. It's really wonderful to have you with us. Professor Baharul sir, I request please say some wonderful words for this wonderful presentation given by Alan sir.
Yeah. It's really always a pleasure to listen to Brother Alan Brooks. We have been meeting on and off when I was in Assam, but since a long time we have lost contact. But we keep, in contact through social media and all. And I'm very pleased that he has highlighted some of the basic tenets from the faith-based scriptures and sayings, and tied it to our main goal: sustainable development and peace. And also he has highlighted the weaknesses which have been highlighted by Dr. Sumit and others also, that how do we now incorporate this interfaith dialogue within our knowledge or education programs. This is something which perhaps is a great takeaway, or I can say one of the major takeaways from this session. And I'm very happy in spite of the busy engagements and because of the situation in Northeast. Brother Alan Brooks is one of our prominent community leader who has always been in the forefront of making peace. Whenever this kind of situation arises, he is actually the peace builder there on the ground. And for this session, he has been very kind. At one point of time, I was wondering whether he will miss it because he might be in Nagaland or in Meghalaya somewhere, resolving people's disputes and making peace. And this is what he does. This is his contribution, and I'm very happy that he made time and we could listen to him. Obviously, in future, we would have more interaction. And just like I requested others, Brother Brooks, if you can share some written materials for us, it may be in a old article which you can revise and send us. We'll be happy to include your lecture as a chapter in our forthcoming book on interreligious dialogue, which we are planning to publish early next year. We'd love to have. Otherwise, we'll have your script. At least this much we have. We can type your speech out and send it to you for any inclusion of the edition, but this will be for posterity. Those who could not attend live session, at least they will have a reference. This is which we are proposing, that it will be a kind of reference guidebook toolkit for IRD practitioners on the field. Thank you very much once again, brother.
I hopefully I will be sending it within a day or two. I'll just get it formulated and maybe I will forward it to you.
So nice. So nice. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
From Bikramjit Singh, sir, we have a comments. We must create awareness to make right use of technology. In this era, heavy exposure of technology is making children socially inept. Yes, very true, sir. Very true. I request Professor Baharul, sir, to give some insights on this particular issues, that how can we utilize technology more wisely for the children, and how human dignity, human rights can be conserved in this era of digital world, what we are calling.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting questions.
Yes. To be very briefly, and Dr. Sumit will agree with me, we are doing, and very interesting to know that Sumit is doing the same work. Sumit, I'm joining London School of Economics to work on the hate speech in India.
Right.
I'm doing a Twitter content analysis and trying to tag it to geo-specific locations from where these hate speeches move when there is a violence or some kind of,
Definitely. I would like to be a part of your study, as and when you have time, we can.
So one thing which we are looking at is that the bad news, earlier we used to say that the bad news, the good news before it put on your show, the bad news, have a travel around the world and come back or something like that. And it has extrapolated more in what we call it now, infomedia, or in our own language, local language, we say it WhatsApp University kind of thing. Why now only way how technology can go forward, there is one positive thing which is coming up, is that extensive use of artificial intelligence. And with Internet of Things and artificial intelligence combined, we can have generated content. Like those bots, for example, are one way of, you can say, market commercialization, pushing advertisement, through your Facebook and social media. Once we have an active organization, department, or people, NGOs, who are into this, the technology made it very easier to push this information through. So, for example, there are, say, maybe 100 students group across Facebook. Now, it is physically might not be possible to interact with all of them, but you can always, generate content which can push these small, anecdotes, stories, educational materials. For how many of us, for example, someone is doing like 3 days program on interfaith dialogue, or know the religions of India, like 5 days, 5 religion discussion. Now, how many million students are there online? But how many of them will actually know that Sumit is doing something like that, or Swati, or me, or Brother Alan is doing something like that, and they should register? There might be interested guardians who want their kids to join. So we need to, as Mr. Bikramjit Singh is saying, that the way forward is to a combination of, you can say, specialized content, educational content, joined with artificial intelligence, systems, so that it can actually tag to schools, educators, and students who are interested to join these things. So this is where we are trying to go. Perhaps it will take some time because it does not have the commercial push which industry have it. The advertisement comes much faster to your screen than something on Interfaith Dialogue or Sarvadharma Samanvaya or something like Sadbhav. Now, this is where we are trying to go. That's my brief, what you can say, intervention in this. And perhaps it needs, joining minds of what we can say digital humanism, joining minds of ICT, artificial intelligence people, and then also the people who generate those content, the activists, the academicians, the peace builders themselves on the ground. Once these three minds come together, technology is a very enabler thing, and with more, you can say, omnipresent media and 5G, for example, with the launching of 5G, this will be much more easier, because most of these informations are documented, digitized now. So it is very easy to connect, interesting materials. Only we need a robust system which can sift through, which is instead of writing a class 4 chapter on interfaith dialogue, you never know, there might be hundreds class 4 materials available online, and it is available free of cost. So we need robust system to curate those, reuse, and adapt them to our things without reinventing the wheel. So that is where we are trying to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's almost, we are at the end of our discussions for today. It's not the ending, but a new starting. So we are expecting to have more and more collaborations associated with KAICIID and other organizations who are interested into this interfaith journeys together for the community to community, like Alan Brooks sir is already doing. So I'm sure that in India also we are so many experts in the field of IRD and SDG. The lacking is we are not connected with each other. So let's start with a platform where we can be together for this kind of discussions, and at least do some takeaway from this kind of discussions and talks. So thank you so much, sir. Here we are. I'm expecting to have a formal close-up and wrapping sessions by Professor Baharul Islam with a formal Thanksgiving to our speakers and the participants.
Okay. On behalf of the entire team of Indian Fellows, Indian KAICIID Fellows Network, our coordinator, of this team, and also all the members of the group, Kanuji, Kanchanji, and everybody who has joined. The screen shows 2 names, so I just mentioned it. It does not ignore others. All of you are most welcome. Thank you very much. And especially, I once again reiterate in absentia our thanks to His Excellency the Governor of Kerala, Arif Mohammad Khanji, also our Zon, Sister Zon, who has joined from Indonesia, Brother Alan Brooks, and obviously good old friend Dr. Sumit Narula from MIT University. Thank you for your time and your participation. All the friends, colleagues, members of academia who have joined throughout the session. We had a steady group of people attending this session, which is very, you can say, encouraging for organizers like us. And on a Friday, working day, forenoon session, and still people were around it, thanks to our wonderful speaker and the topic and how they have engaged all of us, that we could not leave it in spite of any other reason. Thank you very much, all of you again. KAICIID would love to be in touch with you. Please feel free to contact either Swati or me. Perhaps we can have much more discussions one-to-one or in a much smaller group, and perhaps we can take it to every corner of the world. May peace prevail across the world. May the Almighty bless us all. Thank you very much and have a very good day.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.